Item number 6 is a resolution being brought forward by Councilmember Wonsley expressing solidarity with nonviolent campus activism, opposing war and supporting Palestinian human rights, and urging the University of Minnesota, Hennepin County Attorney, and the City Attorney to drop charges against protesters arrested at the University of Minnesota on October 21st, 2024. Councilmember Wonsley, I'll pass the floor on to you.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. Colleagues, I trust that you have taken the time to review the resolution before today's vote, since it's been public for several weeks. But I'll share a couple comments to give an overview of what led to today's resolution that's before you. So campus activism and nonviolent protests have been central to many crucially important social movements like the civil rights movement, the LGBTQ plus liberation movement, and many anti-colonial struggles across and around the world. And nearly all of these nonviolent protests were criminalized and repressed at the time, but are nearly and now widely celebrated and praised for taking bold and necessary action to achieve social change. And since last year, University of Minnesota students and alumni engage in nonviolent protests on campus, urging the University of Minnesota to divest from the State of Israel and boycott Israeli academic institutions as part of a global nonviolent strategy to protect Palestinian human rights. The University of Minnesota is now attempting to criminalize and repress these students and alumni's efforts through the university systems and through the court system as well. And the university has evicted students from university housing. It has suspended them for as long as 2.5 years and has charged them restitution payments of over $5,000 each. And one alumni has also been charged with a felony. Simultaneously, the University of Minnesota recently celebrated a student activism back from the 1970s that pushed the university to create the Department of African American Studies and mind you, that student participated in an action that literally used the same exact tactics that the students who are currently being stringently punished for doing the same efforts in solidarity for Palestine today. And I'm pretty sure decades from now, the University of Minnesota community will look back and honor students who protested for Palestine human rights in 2024. But we don't have to wait 30 years to acknowledge that those who are protesting against a genocide are taking a courageous stance today. And that said, this resolution does urge the University of Minnesota to rescind all academic charges and suspension and evictions and financial penalties, and instead to work with university students and faculty to accomplish their goals around divestment and boycott. It also urges the county and city attorneys to consider the historical and political context of this protest and to drop and or to not pursue any charges. I firmly believe that these actions will place both the university, the county, and the city on the right side of history. It also must be stated that as we're going into a Trump presidency, we're likely going to see increased criminalization and repression of protests. And it has been disappointing to see the University of Minnesota appear to comply with this alarming approach by also passing stronger anti-protest policies and by arresting students advocating for Palestinian human rights, even earlier this year when they led occupation and protests on the campus mall. And those students essentially were just sitting on the grass. And those students were also arrested. So that just shows, whether or not you're sitting in a university hall or on the grass, the university will arrest you. And they have made it very clear that they do not want students protesting about Gaza, no matter how they are doing it. And they have been ready to criminalize those students to repress that protest. And I don't want to see the city council be complicit in criminalizations of students engaging in nonviolent anti-war protests. And I think it's crucial that we draw a clear line that the criminalization of nonviolent protests undermines free speech, protections, and democracy, and that we do not condone criminalization and repression by the university, by the county, and we don't, of course, want to do that here. And, of course, just building upon national and global events, last week, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Israeli Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity. So the international community is also recognizing that we must take urgent action to end this genocide. And we know we're funding it here in the U.S. and our students recognize it. And this is why they are taking action and have been taking action. And I want to applaud our students for recognizing that economic strategies like boycotts and divestments is a tool to bring an end to the genocide we've been witnessing for a year and have been trying to, do everything possible to finally, bring elimination about. So I do applaud students for taking bold and necessary action. And I look forward to working with community members and my colleagues to continue to find ways to support Palestinian human rights and to support residents who do use nonviolent protests to advance our shared goals for peace and safety for all. So with that, I will move this resolution.
Thanks.
Second.
Oh, okay. There's a second. All right, folks, we got to move forward. Are any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? All right, that has been moved forward for approval, and there's been a second. If the clerk can please call the roll.
Councilmember Payne?
Aye.
Wonsley?
Aye.
Rainville?
No.
Vita?
No.
Ellison?
Aye.
Osman?
Aye.
Cashman?
No.
Jenkins is absent. Chuktai?
Aye.
Koski?
Nay.
Palmisano?
No.
Chowdhury?
Aye.
And Chair Chavez.
Aye.
There are 6 ayes and 6 nays.
And that motion carries.
Fails.
Sorry. Okay. So 6-7 or
6-6.
oh 7?
No, it's 7.
Sorry, 6-6. 6-6. Okay. Wait.
There's only 12 of us.
Yep, sorry.
There's 12 people here.
Give the clerks a second.
Sorry, there are 7 ayes and 6 nays.
Thank you.
5 nays.
As I said, I did my own math here. That passes.